talking about sharing platforms, sharing economy, I think the next two speakers are spot on for exactly that topic. So next I would like to ask Daniel to the stage to talk about exactly the topic of sharing economy, sharing platforms, and how Sitra sees that in the world today.
Indeed. Thanks. So my name is Daniel Kaufmann. I work at Sitra, and thanks for Johanna for the presentation. It's actually a nice continuum because you started with the inefficiencies and the business models and the potential, but I think you had a nicer story. So I'm going to go just with kind of highlights of kind of things that are happening now in terms of sharing economy and what's going on. And I think also Antti will continue that theme. So we have a nice storyline here, probably not by accident. Maybe a few words about myself. I work at Sitra in the circular economy team. I'm responsible for the project we do with the private sector and the impact we have through those. And my background is I'm an economist from Aalto University Creative Sustainability Program, and before Sitra I worked in strategy consulting. Okay, how many of you know Sitra in this room? Almost everybody, great. I'm not going to go into this then, but just two things. First of all of you maybe don't know that Sitra is also a big investor in Finland and abroad. So we've invested over 800 million euros in funds mainly, and some in startups and companies. And secondly, I'm proud to say that last year in Davos, in World Economic Forum, Sitra was awarded the leading player in circular economy globally. So we've done something right, at least last year. But okay, towards today's topic. So my aim is actually just to give you some food for thought on how kind of consumption is changing these days. And from the kind of industrial context of Wärtsilä, we're going to move towards kind of B2C context of the same themes. I also have a claim that it will soon be, in more or less 5 years, it will be embarrassing to own things. Let's see how many believe this after my presentation. So, Johanna already mentioned the 5 business models of the circular economy. There are a lot of examples in Finland and abroad of successful companies who do these, and today I'm going to focus mainly on sharing platforms. But in general, if you look at these models, the idea is basically to make money by fixing inefficiencies. And those inefficiencies can be, often it's optimizing the capacity of a certain asset, or it can be extending a life cycle of a product, or it can be offering outcome-based solutions. For example, instead of selling light bulbs, you could sell light as a service, and so on. But I'm not going to dig too deep into this right now. Just a few words. Why this is important. And before I could go there, I want to say I'm skipping today the part of what is circular economy, the normal parts that we always talk about, and also why it is important, the climate crisis, the resource crisis. But today more from a kind of business angle, and here are a few reasons why business models are worth considering. So basically there is empirical proof that there is financial benefits of kind of transforming or using these business models as an existing business and creating new services, but also for startups. Also, you can have a very positive climate impact and cut emissions up to 2/3 of the current state. There's some really interesting material and case studies on these if somebody is interested. But let's jump into actually first why now? It's, as Johanna said, it's not a new thing. So efficiency and lean thinking, for example, have been there for decades. But one thing why now is locating and fixing inefficiencies is cheaper than ever before in history. So if you look at a 3D sensor, it used to cost 10 years ago $30,000, and today it costs $30. That's a big change. So this is one reason why today companies like Wärtsilä and many others are doing this transformation. Okay, we also have ShareTribe as an example. Probably if you think of sharing platforms, Airbnb and maybe some mobility examples are the most typical ones. But I'm gonna try to kind of jump in a bit more to the individual perspective and answer the questions like where is the potential and what type of solutions are coming up both in Finland and globally. So first of all, if you look at the carbon footprint of an average Finn, it's around 10,000 carbon CO2 equivalents per year per person. And you can divide it to these 4 areas of consumption, living, food and transport, and tourism. Naturally, in Finland, it's warming up your house is a huge part of the living climate impact. For other consumption, it's your hobbies, your pets, the stuff you buy, and transport is mainly flying around and driving your car, and so on. It's interesting to look at kind of the things that also that what's going on at the same time. So on average in Europe, each material is used one time. I think that the number is 1.2, but you can put it down to 1. If you look at global material flows, 9.1% of the material flows are circular, so they're kept in the system and not thrown away or not ending up in oceans and stuff like that. And you know about the food waste, 1/3 is basically thrown in the trash, or not in the trash, but it's not used. Okay, summer cottages, we all love them, but also if you look at these areas, the utilization rate is 21% of your summer cottage on average. And offices are empty most of the time, cars are not used. There's actually an interesting calculation that 4% of all the cars in Helsinki would be enough to do all the driving that is done today if the cars were optimized and shared and the routes were optimized. So 4% of the cars would do all the driving needed. It's quite interesting. And this is a big business potential. All these areas, they are just examples, but also in living area, I think Airbnb is founded based on the idea that your house is not used every 3rd weekend or something like that. So it's unused capacity. So if we look at these examples and what kind of companies exist, even in Finland we have a lot of stuff going on, from shared boats to shared clothing, and all kinds of also bigger companies coming up with services. And it's very interesting, and some people tend to kind of think and say that this is somehow marginal or it's important, but I don't know if they're getting anywhere. But I'm gonna claim here that it's not that marginal, and this is a big shift and direction we're going to. So we're going from ownership to access and usage and paper use, paper results type of thinking and models. And that's also better for the environment. And I'm just going to give you, towards the end, a few examples of international peers for these Finnish companies, and look at a bit of how they have been funded. I think one easy way to outsource an assessment of a company is looking at their, of a startup, I mean, is to looking at their funding, because the investors have done the evaluation for you in a way. So a few examples towards the end. So Neighbor, this is a company, it's just basically you can use other people's empty space to storage. storage your things. Very simple thing, 4 million euro funding. I think this is from Canada or the US, the West Coast. And a very recent story. Another one in kind of the same area is Omni, and this is a very interesting one, I think. So it's basically a digital, a Pelican storage. I think everybody knows what that is, mostly. So it's kind of like the Pelican storage, but it's with an app. And actually, the cool thing is that you can, let's say you have your bike in the Pelican storage, then you can say that I don't use it for this in this period, and Omni will take care of putting it out for other users, and you don't have to see the other users or anything. You just define in the app the time that you make your things available for others, and you get paid for the use from others. And it's quite interesting, this model. And they're even now experimenting in crowdsourcing the logistics of these transactions. So, and quite a big funding, 35 million. I think it was dollars though, I think I have it wrong here. Interesting story, this one as well. Okay, happy sharing from China. Chinese tend to do things in scale. If you look at the funding also, this is basically just a kind of, how would I put it, a service for using other people's things, for renting them or even buying them. Sounds very simple, but to make it work, you need a lot of users, and these guys are on it. And that's why I think the local competitors here in Finland have been doing a great job and are on the right track when you look at companies like this. Okay, I think I have one more here. Again, this is from India. Also a recent example. Very simple thing. A lot of traffic, scarce resources. The idea is to fill the cars when you commute to work. And it's a no-brainer, but somehow it's just been done basically today, only today and not before. So kind of my point is that there's a lot of unused capacity that is also business potential in many areas. Oh, I did have one more. Copenhagen luggage hero. So instead of paying for the airport luggage storages, they're using local shops that have empty space to store your luggage for half the price, basically. Again, not that. I mean, the idea is not complicated. It's also interesting to see that the bigger companies are also in the merger and acquisition market very active in kind of engaging in this sharing economy opportunities and platforms, and they are acquiring smaller companies. So companies like Ford and Caterpillar and Uber and Airbnb and so on. So I guess my point here is just to raise a little bit for your thinking and have a little bit of food for your brains, that this is really happening, and the consumption patterns that we're used to are changing. So a question for you, what do you think, how is the future looking for you, and what is your role in the transition? Maybe in 10 years the teacher is asking, what year did food waste disappear from the world? So that could be a vision that we could strive for. I think there's a saying that change happens very slow until it happens. So I'll end here from my part. I hope you got some ideas for the discussions later on. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Daniel. We'll have the QA later on.
Perfect.